Greetings out there, Dr. Brian here. Today we're going to talk about oiling the joints, all right? I've been doing this in my practice for 16 years. I probably started when I was doing massage therapy. Basically, it's very simple. Oiling the joints. Start from the bottom, work your way up. Assess your body. It's like going around and kicking the tires. If you do maintenance or before you drive your car, you walk around the car and you check to make sure your lights work, your blinkers work, your windshield wipers work, your tires aren't flat, right? Oiling the joints is a simple way to assess your body. And you get a little bit out of it too. The body is driven by proprioceptives. All the joints are full of proprioceptors. That tells you where are you in space. If you close your eyes, how do you know where your nose is? Just saying. You know, how do you know that? Close your eyes, bring your fingers together, right? That's one of the ways I test people. It's like, if you go like this and your fingers are that far apart with your eyes closed, I know neurologically your joints are not communicating with your body because your fingers don't know where they're at. Any athlete, having your body aligned and your joints communicating is a must. As you get older, we can't do this. So if you have a hard time with this, get yourself a chair, get something to hang on to. Now, this is hard to do if you're barefoot, unless you're like a gymnast or somebody who has their toes are conditioned for it. But you just basically get up on that and you watch. You roll your ankle one way and then you roll it the other, right? And I see people do this, right? They try and do it and all they're doing to start with is just moving their ankle like this. You gotta roll it around, get it up on top of there. Then you roll it the other way. That's probably where Elvis got his moves, right? Now the knees, right? So you go here, and it's still picking up the ankles a little bit. And I'm not leaning on them, just a little bit of balance. Now if you have to, you go here and just hang on to it. And you don't have to go way down like that. And if you have a artificial joint or knee or anything like that, be careful. You have limited ranges of motion, so you have to work with it. Maybe if you do, you have to work with one knee. You go both ways. Oiling the joints. You got to understand there's no blood supply in the joint. It's all a viscous fluid, right? That nutrition moves through the joint. So if you want to keep your joints healthier, inward, like so. So I do 10, 11. And then here's the other trick I like to do is walk them out. Walk them out. Now, if you've never done this before, you might have to do this if you have any pains or any problems going on. Now you get your feet just a little over hip, shoulder width apart. Now we're into the hips, right? And this isn't, you see my body isn't going around. You're moving your hips around, trying to keep your body, upper body still. 10, 11 one way, 10, 11 the other way. We've gone through the ankles, knees, and hips. We're going to move into the spine. So the spine works in 6 directions. Rotation, lateral flexion both ways, and then flexion and extension, right? So let's just start with flexion and extension. Flexion, roll, one vertebra at a time, roll down, and extend back out. And you can do that half a dozen times to 10 times, however many times you want to do that. The next one is get into extension, right? All the way back. Now with this one, if you have any balance issues, hang on to something. Because what I do with this one is you want to go back and then look at the wall with your eyes. And you can actually build that into a routine where you go down. And you're not hinging from the hips, right? This is not what you're doing. You're rolling down. Like put your hands on the inside, right? So this gets the spine in flexion and extension. Now lateral bending, I like to put the hands above the head, crack the nut. This is the nut. I'm going to be a walnut today. Pretend you have a nut filbert in your hands or a smaller one. And it's not church steeple, but it's close. Can't quite do it right that way, but I like to interlock. This way the energy comes out your hands. Some people will just go like this, but this helps me. Roll your shoulders back, reach up over your head. And this one you're just reaching. Look, if you look, I'm reaching. I'm not doing anything. I'm just reaching, squeezing my elbows together, which cracks the nut. open my shoulders so I'm not letting my body roll forward. I'm just leaning. And you can push your hip out to the other opposite side you're leaning to. If you look here, watch my hips. I take a breath. You can really feel this in the rib cage and open those up. And what happens is people will let their arms go. The idea is keep it always cracking the nut. Come back to center. Again. Oh, I can feel that through my rib cage. I haven't done this in a couple days. So that's the lateral flexion aspect of it. A little slower. If you want, you can always just do it. You know, if this is easier to start with. I like this one. This is one I prefer because it stretches that lat out a lot better. Now next, rotation. With rotations, we're milking the spine, right? There's fluid through the spinal column that comes up, bathes the brain as well. So in the theory, there's a cycle of that cerebrospinal fluid that goes through, comes down, goes back up. The movement of the spine, very important for the health of the nervous system. Rotations, if you watch, does not go into the legs. This is not what we're looking for. We're looking to stabilize here. So if you look at that, there's different movements here too. You can tuck under slightly or let your hips roll forward. Can't really do it wrong. There's arguments both ways. So rotations, pull the shoulder back, pull the shoulders back. I build up to about 300 of these because this one also massages the internal organs. Getting that movement through the spine, creating a healthier environment. So if you're like me and you have damage to your spine from sports and car accidents and military, then you know this is a necessity. Avoid getting the whole body. You know, there is drumming. This is a technique. If you want to do it this way, I guess that would, you know, that's fine as well. This might be a little easier. I like to do this. It focuses more on the spine, right? You got the fingers and the hands, right? I use my hands a lot. This is part of the routine I use for managing carpal tunnel and tendonitis. So you have the fingers, right? And then you have the wrists, internal, external wrist. Stretching that palm, you get the median nerve there, right? So if you're rolling through it, you pick up the radial, the ulnar nerve, and then you'll pick up the radial nerve by going through these. Open and close the shoulders, right? You can do those both ways, but shoulder, right? Try and keep your elbow straight as you can because a lot of people will do this. The straighter you keep your elbow, the more you're going to affect your shoulder. I like to take it through the full range of motion and then roll it open. Roll it open. Thrusting hands here. Just reach, pull back, reach, pull back. Here's another good one. Reach out with both hands. If you have arthritis in these hands, just slow it down, right? I've been working with my hands for years. Those little spots, you ding them, they hurt. I know you know what I'm talking about. The thumbs, all you piano players out there. Hairstylists, anybody that uses a tool to grip. These exercises and morning routine, it's all about consistency. I've been using my hands for decades. You'd never know it. And then I use my arm doctor to flush out my forearms after a busy day because of the chronic tendonitis, especially with the left hand. By the way, I did fracture this arm when I was a kid, and I don't know if that plays into why I have more trouble with that wrist or not. You know, we all have our stories. We forget about the damages. I had an 80-year-old gentleman I was working on one time after about the 6th visit. I remember what happened to me. I'm like, what was that, Frank? He goes, that's where that bull stepped on me. I said, really, Frank? I thought you didn't have any traumas. He goes, well, I was a professional bull rider for 5 years in my 20s. Forgot about his 5 years of being a professional bull rider as being a trauma. So anyway, we forget about that kind of stuff. You know, we all have our stories. Use these things. Use them. They just help keep you fluid. My goal is to be like the 92-year-old gentleman that I met that floated when he walked at 92. Could get up off a low couch. Could get up off the ground without using his hands. He would just stand up and just walk away. And his daughters were in their 70s with their cane. And he'd come back to me, he goes, they think I'm an old man. And I just laughed, and he just floated away. I knew the guy for like 3 hours, visited with him for like 3 hours, and huge impact on my life. You never know who or what will impact your life that much.